You've seen Fraser, Hastings. What is your feeling?
He's a big chap. Fragile isn't exactly the word that springs to mind. I talked to his landlady before seeing him. She went to bed at 11. Fraser wasn't home yet.
Bien. Megan Barnard said he is a reserved character but with a nasty temper. We will see if this is the case. How do you do, Mr. Fraser?
You're Hercule Poirot. Mr. Hastings said you wanted to speak to me.
Yes. I know that it may not be the right time, but I would like to ask you a few questions. This man looks suspicious. Fraser is in a terrible state, as if he hadn't slept all night. And he's drinking white horse.
Leave me alone. Tell me that it's a mistake, that Betty isn't dead.
Sadly, your lady friend has been murdered, Mr. Fraser.
Oh, Betty, if only you'd listened.
Did you visit Betty yesterday afternoon?
No, I haven't seen Betty for 2 days. I was at the office yesterday afternoon.
Can you prove that?
Of course. But why this question? Betty died yesterday evening, didn't she?
Yesterday, a guest came to the Ginger Cat alone and ordered a white horse whiskey, and by the look of it, you also appear to be fond of this brand.
Yes, it's a good whiskey and not cheap. I only drink it on special occasions. Or tragic ones.
I understand. Do you know what Betty's plans were yesterday evening?
She said she was having dinner with her sister.
And you believed her?
And why not, sir? She was my fiancée.
That did not stop her from lying to you before. Betty was not a bad girl, but she did like to take advantage of her success with men.
How dare you sully her memory?
I am not interested in memories of her, Mr. Fraser. I am looking for a killer, and I need you to be my closest ally. That is, unless you have something to hide.
Of course I don't.
Très bien. So, what were we saying? Where were you yesterday evening?
I looked everywhere for her, but in vain. When she said she was going to have dinner with her sister on a weekday, I thought it was strange. I tried not to think about it, but I was like a lion in a cage. I was convinced she was lying. So I went round all the restaurants in the town. When I didn't find her, I went to the next town. But nothing. I must have got home about midnight or 1 o'clock.
Did anybody see you?
I don't think so. I didn't talk to anybody. I was so furious.
Ah, I knew I'd find you here, Poirot. I thought the victim's young man was here.
Yes, he's all yours, Chief Inspector. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
Fraser doesn't have an alibi and he's extremely jealous.
You are very skilled at summing up.
And yet you haven't asked Jap to arrest him.
It is too soon. But I agree, without the letters announcing the crimes, Fraser would already be behind bars. Bon, I think we have enough elements. Let's reconstruct the events at the scene of the crime.
I can't imagine how the murderer wasn't seen, though. Surely she must have struggled.
Let us try and imagine the scene. The killer and the victim are walking on the beach. Miss Betty has a bag, a belt around her waist, and carries her shoes in her hand. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 5. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 6. Miss Betty enters the hut. She leaves without her belongings. Then she hides a code. They keep walking. Then she removes her belt.
The murderer moves behind her and then attacks her by surprise. The body falls, lifeless, on the sand.
Everything appears to match the crime scene, mon cher Hastings. That is exactly what happened. Without the ABC, we might have suspected Mr. Asher and Mr. Fraser. But by signing his crimes, the murderer is making sure he's accused. In a way, it is very generous of him.
Generous? The murderer seduced Betty in order to lure her to the beach and kill her.
Indeed, the young woman was certainly careless, but not stupid enough to follow a stranger.
What are you planning to do, Poirot?
Return to London, mon cher Hastings.
Jap has decided to reveal details to the press. The alphabet murder is now famous.
It is not a bad idea. The more people who know, the greater our chances of finding out something of interest.
Poirot, I have a bad feeling. Poor Mr. Poirot, not so good at these little criminal matters as you thought yourself, are you? Rather past your prime, perhaps. Let us see if you can do any better this time. This time, it's an easy one. Churston on the 30th. Do try and do something about it. It's a bit dull having it all my own way, you know. Good hunting. Ever yours, ABC. Good hunting. Did you hear that, Poirot? The murderer seems to be taking it all as a game, a challenge. He will strike on 30th in Churston. We must warn Scotland Yard.
Hastings, today is the 30th.
No time to lose. We must prepare our suitcases for Churston.
Mon Dieu, it is already 10 o'clock. I will call Scotland Yard immediately. his haste, Hastings tore the envelope. Ah, some cool hair. Hello, chap. We received a new letter from ABC in the 10 o'clock post.
Where and when?
In Churston. Today.
Today? I'll inform the population immediately.
I'll check the train times. Call me back. It is not a good time. It is not a good... Poor Mr. Poirot. Not so good at this little... It is not a good... It is not a good time. It is not a good... Hastings, what you are doing is an absolute disaster. That is no way to pack suitcases.
Heavens, we must hurry! We have to get to Churston before the murder!
Hastings' order and method are always necessary, regardless of the circumstances.
Okay. I'll let you pack them.
All the same, it really is a disgrace to leave your belongings in such a mess. Voila! It only took a minute.
Poirot, you were right. I've just consulted the ABC guide. There's no hurry. The next train doesn't leave till 11:45.
You see, there is no need to hurry. We will not be in Churston until tomorrow morning, after the murder.
But why has the murderer warned us so late? It's not what he usually does. Did he do it on purpose?
Very good question, Hastings. We should also compare the letter we have just received with the other two, although I have very little doubt about what we will find. We've missed the 6:45 train, but we have plenty of time to catch the night train. Hastings' photo album. He is very proud of his bag. Right, let us compare this new letter with the second one. Let us examine this more closely. Certain characters in the two letters may have similar defects. Yes, this I is weird. Right, let us However, Yes, the I characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. I have to find some other similar defects to confirm my theory. Let us examine the characters in this word. Yes, the A appears to be quite unusual. Right, let us compare this with the other letter. That's right. The A characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. I have to find some other similar defects to confirm my theory. The W is not printed properly. Right. Let us compare this with the other letter. Of course, the W characters in the two letters do indeed have the same defects. My theory was right. These two letters were written with the same typewriter. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work. The letter should have arrived in time. The postmark shows that it was sent 3 days ago. However, our man made a mistake in the address, which explains the delay. All the same, the post office took their time correcting the error.
Come on, Poirot. Your address is not quite as well known as that of Scotland Yard. Poirot, the telephone. It must be Jap.
I have some news from Churston. Bad news, I'm afraid. Sir Carmichael Clarke was murdered while out on his evening walk.
Sir Carmichael Clarke. The name is familiar to me.
He was a famous throat specialist, one of the best in London. A wealthy man, he retired to Combside, a beautiful house by the sea. He collected antiques.
Are you going there?
Yes, let's meet on the train. The victim is called Sir Carmichael Clarke, one of the best throat specialists in London. The body was still warm when we found it. If we had been warned earlier, we definitely could have saved him.
It appears that the murderer made a mistake when he wrote his letter.
A mistake? Lucky for him.
And what if he did it on purpose?
No. He's defined his madcap rules and he's sticking to them. It's a matter of pride for him. Shall we go up to the house, Poirot?
You go, my friends. I will come soon. Jap has emptied the victim's pockets and has laid out their contents on this piece of wax cloth. It is pointless. An oriental dragon. It's an old piece, much older than the pocket watch on which it was fastened. Nothing appears to be missing from this wallet. A signet ring. Very probably with the Clarke family's coat of arms. An ABC guide. The murderer's customary signature, covered in blood this time. Sir Carmichael's throat was cut. It's a clean incision, a professional murder. The gravel on the path has been sprayed with blood that covers a conical-shaped area, which starts at the body and becomes wider as it moves further from the bush. Apart from the wound to the throat, the body is untouched. No cuts, no bruises.